Good afternoon. I'm Allison Matthews, and I'm here this afternoon to share with you an induction and mentoring plan for employees new to a school system. This plan has been formulated by several professionals in the Jacksonville State University Education Program. To begin with, first-year teachers are faced with many issues, both legal and ethical issues. This can be compounded by the amount of information that is thrust upon them when they first enter the field. Within the first few weeks of employment, they are faced with state standards, school handbooks, many different rules and warnings from administration and district personnel, as well as many school processes that are new and unfamiliar to them. This can bring upon mental and emotional stress as these individuals become overwhelmed. They're under an enormous amount of pressure to be able to balance the many different demands that are placed upon them. So it's for these reasons that it's important that a school system have a thorough induction and mentoring program set up for new employees. High on the list of things that need to be covered with new employees has to do with a standard of ethics. And in Alabama, the State Education Department has come up with an Alabama Code of Ethics that must be followed. So one of the very first things that new employees are introduced to are all of the different topics within this particular Code of Ethics. It covers everything from professional conduct and how a professional speaks with their students, the type of relationships that are appropriate and inappropriate, how to maintain a teacher-student relationship that is very professional and conducive to learning without putting oneself in a situation that could be dangerous. The trustworthiness of an employee is paramount, especially when they're dealing with state test scores, personal information like individual education plans, as well as other school data and information that must be kept confidential. As always, professionals in the field of education need to have the law reviewed with them so that they know that any unlawful acts will not be tolerated within the workplace. New employees coming into a school system must also understand the place of social media within the workplace and within their personal lives, and how that can both impact them in a positive manner and in a negative manner if not handled appropriately. As always, schools establish firm rules in regards to alcohol, drug, and tobacco use and its possession, both in a school building and on school grounds. So new employees must be well aware of these rules. Public funds and property and remunerative conduct go together in that public funds must be handled appropriately, and young and even older new employees must understand that the workplace is not an area where they can seek financial gain, and that they also must handle any and all monies and funds in an appropriate manner. And again, the maintenance of confidentiality is super important when professionals are dealing with children, other families, and school systems, and information that is personal in nature to them. In order to get this information out clearly and in a timely fashion, sometimes it's beneficial to host a pre-employment session. And during this time, employees that are looking into a particular school system are able to go in, meet an administrator, hear about their guidelines, hear about their respective schools, and see if that's a place that they are interested in seeking employment. A pre-orientation session is a time at the very beginning of a school year where new employees can be brought in and they can participate in breakout sessions that focus on some of the top areas that these individuals will be responsible for. This is a time for professional development credit, but also is a time that this information can be passed out and sort of digested before the academic school year even begins. Some of the breakout sessions, we'll go through about 6 breakout sessions that would help lay a strong foundation for the information that a new teacher might be held responsible for. First one would be the special education process. This is something that is governed by IDEA and the regulations therein. And so for a new employee, they need to have a full understanding of what an IEP is, what the referral process looks like, and what their part would be in this process. It will be important for them to have an understanding of the gifted program and how their students could possibly qualify for these services. Above all, they need to have an understanding of what their responsibility is in delivering these services to the students that they are responsible for. Another breakout session would cover English language learners, the WIDA testing process along with the WIDA standards. During this session, participants would become familiar with the WIDA standards, how to read the WIDA screener, and perhaps serve a student that is weak in particular areas. Strategies can be covered during this session to support language acquisition for our students, no matter what language they come to us speaking. So this is a very important breakout session. One of the next breakout sessions would be one that covers career tech education. This is important even for elementary teachers to be familiar with the different pathways and the opportunities that are available for our students as they progress from elementary through middle school and on to high school, so that they'll know the many careers that are available to them, as well as some of the certificates that the seniors can graduate with. Breakout session number 4 would cover technology in the classroom. We want our students to be thoroughly engaged in the learning process, and technology plays a big part in that today. But we also want our new employees to be tech savvy and be familiar with appropriate digital citizenship. So this is something we would go through, all of the procedures and processes involved with our technology. And then at the end of this session, participants would sign off on a technology acceptable use policy so that they have a full understanding of what is appropriate on technology in the education workplace and what is not. Okay, the pre-K program is another area that is also important to cover. Participants need to understand how families can register their students to be a part of the lottery process. They need to also understand that this opportunity for every school system builds some foundational skills for our students as they enter into our kindergarten program. So they need to understand the verification process as well as the selection process and be able to advise families of this information. And then finally, we want to expose all of our participants during an orientation session to the foundations of reading. We'll go through ARI, and we will talk about the fundamental skills required to obtain or acquire the English language for a reader. So we will go through phonics and comprehensions, fluency, phonemic awareness. If this is a teacher that is going to teach one of our younger grades, these components will also be reviewed again once we go through their curriculum and what they will be teaching during their English language arts session. And then finally, we're going to have an orientation session to introduce these new employees to their mentors. The mentors will play a very key role in getting this particular employee acclimated to their job and to our schools. These mentors are chosen specifically based on qualifications. We're going to ask them to come back to school a week before the students return so that we can put together and mentor with a new employee and hopefully begin to form a bond there. When we mentor new teachers, this is a very involved process with a structured timeline so that these two individuals will in essence go back and review all of the information we've covered in our orientation sessions, as well as go through planned coaching cycles throughout the year. They will meet regularly and often, and the mentor will critique the mentee and will give suggestions and advice for improvement, and will also serve as a liaison between our new employee and administration. Mentor selection is very important in that we want a great communicator with at least 5 years of teaching experience and at least 2 years at our current school. But above all, they need to be able to demonstrate skill in teaching and skill in communicating. Because if you'll remember, one of the most important things we can do for a new teacher is to help to defray some of the stress and pressure that they are feeling during their first year of teaching. So if you'll notice on this screen, it shows a little bit about the mentoring process and the coaching cycles that I mentioned, where there will be a lot of observation, learning, and improving based on coaching cycles that they go through. So as you see, we feel strongly about this induction process at our school. If we do a thorough mentoring and induction process at our school, we feel like our chances for retaining teachers go up greatly. So hopefully we will give every professional that enters into our school system the best shot at success and a wonderful first school year. I want to thank you for being with us this afternoon and for learning about our program.